The New Dark Ages. Humanity tried to prevent the impending ecological crisis by investing massively in genetic technology. It failed. Engineered viruses and organisms escaped into the wild. They wiped out edible plants, animals and large populations of humans. An established way of governance now thrives in enclosed cities called Citadels, while everyone else struggles to survive. People rely on seeds traded by the Citadels for food. However, these seeds can produce only one harvest. Before we get into the plot, if you are new to Scenes Recap, please hit subscribe and the bell to never miss any of our movie uploads. Also, don't forget to like if this movie plot will interest you. Now, the people outside Citadel cities must find food and resources on their own. The Citadel gives them seeds that required a special process to be used. Without this process, the seeds are infertile. Only the scientists of the Citadels know about this process. Vesper is a 13-year-old girl who lives in a house in the forest with her father. Darius, the father to Vesper, is paralyzed. He served in the military of the Citadel, where he got paralyzed, and the Citadel gave him a robot drone. He only communicates using the drone that looks like a floating robot head. He uses the drone to accompany Vesper in her daily routine, while his real body stays in bed. To keep living, Vesper feeds her father through tubes. Vesper has gained biohacking and biotechnology skills by teaching herself. She makes it a daily routine to visit an abandoned old lab to do her research. A year ago, Vesper's mother left to be part of a group of people called pilgrims. Pilgrims scavengers and drag the junk they collect, though it is not explained where exactly they take them. Rumors have it that the pilgrims are people infected with a virus that makes them wander around until their last days on Earth. While spying on a pilgrim, Darius hears someone breaking into their house. Upon running back, they see someone has damaged their power source, which keeps Darius alive. Vesper tries to fix it and prevent further leaks. However, the power is low since some batteries are also missing. She quickly runs to her evil uncle, Jonah, who lives not far away. Jonas manages a sort of orphanage, where he extracts blood from the children and sells it to the Citadel, in exchange for food and seeds. Jonas also owns artificial humans called Jugs. They are made with the sole purpose of being a slave workforce. Vesper finds one of his uncle's jug, stuck while crying for help. However, when Jonah sees it stuck, he orders one of the boys, who was in charge of the jugs that day, to stub it to death. The scene is quite disturbing for the crowd, but no one dares to speak against the provider. He then welcomes Vesper and informs her that he does not run a charity organization. So for the batteries, Vesper will have to donate her blood. Vesper agrees, but on realizing that she will have to wait for the next 48 hours, she insists that her father will not make it by then. Jonah, though unyielding, is aware about this. It turns out that Jonas wants his brother dead, so he can take Vesper as one of his minions. She tries to take back her blood, but Jonas catches her in the act and kicks her out. After some time, Vesper comes back and sneaks to Jonas's farm, where she sees one of the children being butchered for blood. She ignores the disturbing scene and goes for the batteries as planned. She runs to one of Jonah's farms and bumps into one of his uncle's minions. He lets her in without a word and leaves the site. Vesper steals the batteries and some of the Citadel seeds. On her way back home, she notices a Citadel gladiator flying towards Jonah's place. Keeping her priorities checked, she disregards it and heads home. Later that night, she arrives back home and inserts the batteries in their power source, saving her father's life. The next day, while observing the seeds, her father notices them. He asks Vesper where she found them and she tries to lie about it. Her father knows her too well to buy the lie. She gets into a confrontation with Darius and furiously runs out of the house into the forest. There she finds a young woman sleeping unconsciously, with some strange plant stuck to her skin. It appears that they are sucking her blood. She takes her home and treats her wounds. The woman wakes up in hysteria, and asks Vesper if she saw her father, who was with her on the gladiator. It is then revealed that the gladiator Vesper saw last night was with them and had crashed into the forest. She promises to take Vesper and her father to Citadel, if they can find the other passenger on the gladiator. Vesper is desperate to live a good life with the Citadels and hastily agrees, though her father declines and warns Vesper not to go. But Vesper holds that she is going to search for him the next day. Darius leaves their site disappointed. Later that night, the woman introduces herself as Camellia and tells Vesper how organized Citadel is. While they were chatting, Darius gets a seizure. Vesper starts to panic as she does not know what to do. Fortunately, Camellia comes to his rescue, and in what might seem like kissing, Darius relaxes and goes back to sleep. The next morning, Vesper goes to look for Camelia's father, a man named Elias. However, when Vesper goes to check, he finds that Jonah is also there. Jonah chokes Elias to death while holding Vesper, who is trying to help him. Looking in the gladiator, Jonah suspects that there was another passenger on the ship. To keep Camellia safe, since Jonah was looking for her, Darius instructs Vesper to lie about Elias's death. She goes back home and tells Camellia that she did not see anyone in the woods. Vesper starts to trust Camellia and reveals her interest in biotechnology. She then takes Camellia to her creations in the middle of the forest. Camellia is surprised and amazed at the same time by the 13-year-old creations. She tells Vesper that her garden is just the same standard as those in Citadel. Vesper's farm has plants that have never been seen before. Some of her plants have emotions like human beings. Others produce their light at will. Camellia praises the young girl and tells her that Elias, her father, is a synthetic engineer and would love to see her creations, and that he would take it back to Citadel for further experimentation. Vesper ignores her remarks, knowing that Elias is dead and that would not happen. Though she wants to tell her the truth, she fears that Camellia might make a wrong move in haste and anger. Back home, Vesper asks Camellia why Citadel would not let people work for them instead of the artificially made Jugs. Camellia replies that Citadel likes control, and Jugs, who have free will, are loyal and easier to control than most humans. Camellia then asks Vesper about her mother's whereabouts. Vesper explains that her mother had a nice voice and would always sing for her. This would make Vesper soothe and relax. One day her mother woke up and lost her voice, to which Vesper thinks she was infected by a virus. That made her run from home and join the pilgrims. That night they went through a book of animals and birds as they mimicked their sounds. The next day, Vesper and her father sneaked to Jonas's farm. After seeing the Citadel gladiators heading there, her father through the drone goes first to check if it is clear and alert Vesper. But he does not return, and Vesper is forced to go after the drone. She finds Jonah trying to destroy the inner parts of the drone. Jonah had found out about the last theft and the young boy who allowed her in. Jonah killed the boy and disposed of his body in the woods. Jonah asks Vesper why they are trespassing on his farm. Vesper explains that they come for the batteries. Jonah promised to trade for the blood he took. Though Jonah is not convinced by her lie, immediately he goes for the batteries. Vesper quickly takes the drone and escapes. Jonah then asks his minions to go after her. They catch her on the run, and Vesper screams in fear for help. They then take a hot metal and mark her as one of Jonah's minions before letting her go. Back home, Vesper tries to repair the drone. Feeling lonely and helpless, she hags Camellia. She then tells her the truth about Elias's death. They then go to some pond in the forest where his body is afloat. Camellia mourns him deeply as she tries to hug Elias's dead body. Vesper pulls her out of the pond and tries to comfort her. She notices a mark behind her neck. These are the commonly identical features behind Jugs. Vesper is shocked that Camellia is not human, but an advanced Jug with emotions and distinct human resemblance. Camellia then reveals to her that Elias is her creator, and they were escaping from the Citadels, since creating a Jug with intelligence is a crime. Vesper realizes that Camellia was only using her to get to Elias, and she was not going to bring them to Citadel. She then pushes the mourning Camellia in anger and goes back home. After fixing the drone, Darius tells Vesper that Jugs are made to be loyal to their masters, and Camellia, though advanced, is no different. On the other hand, Camellia returns home and tries to commit suicide by stabbing herself. She feels she has no reason to live anymore since her creator is dead. Vesper stops her and gives her a reason to live. She explains to Camellia that with the seeds, they can make the outside world regain its fertility and normal look, where people will no longer be dependent on Citadel for food or seeds. Vesper uses the seeds stolen from Jonah's farm for an experiment, involving samples from synthetic Camellia. Camellia plays a tune from a musical instrument that causes the locked bacteria in the seeds to unlock. Vesper thinks she finds a way to unlock Citadel seeds, and make them fertile, so they will never starve again. The next day, Jonas comes to the house and finds Camellia. Angry that Vesper lied to him about Camelia's hideout, he goes to kill his brother. Camellia stops him, and when she walks away, Jonah notices something suspicious about her. Upon looking at the back of her neck, he realizes that Camellia is a Jug. Surprised by the Jug's distinct human appearance, he tries to make it his minion, by scratching the mark on her neck. When his trick fails, he tries to choke her. Fortunately, Vesper comes to Camelia's rescue. When Jonah was trying to reach for a knife, Camellia drilled his hand into the table with another knife. Overpowered, Jonah calms down and Vesper makes a deal with him. Vesper tells him that she found a way to unlock the seeds, and that she will make him more food, where he will have no reason to trade blood for it anymore. That is if he leaves them alone. Jonas reluctantly agrees and goes back to his place. He changes his mind and calls the Citadel, revealing to them that he found Camelia's hideout. Shortly, soldiers from the Citadel arrive at his place and shot him in the head before going to Vesper's house. Darius asks Camellia to look after Vesper, and states that he will stay behind to buy them time as they flee. Vesper declines, but his father persuades her that she will have to make a difficult decision this time since he cannot move from the bed. Vesper, though hesitant, escapes with Camellia, leaving her father in the house. Soon, the Citadel soldiers enter Darius' house and find him lying helplessly in his bed. While pointing a gun to his face, Darius waits until a good number of them get in the house. He then scares them with his drone, which was intentionally placed next to their power source. One of the soldiers shoots it, and it immediately explodes. killing Darius and a bunch of soldiers in the house. Vesper and Camellia did not go that far before their house blows up in flames. Vesper sees their house going up in flames, cries while trying to go back before Camellia stops her. Shortly 2 other Citadel soldiers come for them. Vesper understands the woods and the plants much better, uses her skills to their benefit and triggers a plant that shot the soldier multiple times. The plant has bullets never seen before. We see the bullet come out of the body when done with the assignment. However, Camellia knows that the Citadels will never give up on trying to find her, so she suggests turning herself in to at least give way to Vesper's plan. Vesper begs her to reconsider, though Camellia remains unwavering. She then makes Vesper unconscious with a kiss, a trick she earlier used on Darius, leaving the only friend she has, and surrenders herself to the soldiers. The next day, Vesper wakes up to find that her only friend is nowhere to be seen. Distraught and lonely, she buries the altered seeds, believing there is no use for them in a world without her loved ones. But when a group of Jonas kids find her, Vesper changes her mind. Vesper and the children journey to a makeshift tower, built by the pilgrim. The final scene sees Vesper taking the seeds out and letting the wind spread them, marking the end of this film. Like and share your thoughts with us if you love his plot summary. Also, subscribe to help this channel grow. Until next time, have a great day.